Q&A here on the Onocoffee channel. I'm Jay, your host. We do live streams about coffee most Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So welcome to the show. Hope you're doing well. We're back in the roasting space again. Matt's here as well, working on the Shaper Origin. How's that coming, Matt?
Slow.
So
I just turned it on last night.
you've already made some designs of it?
No. It's updated now.
Oh, okay. Oh, it connects to the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So the Shaper Origin is this kind of like handheld CNC router. That's quite nice. But anyway, so this is the roasting. Hey Kent, how are you, man? Good to see you. We are here using the Gießen W6A, which is a nice roaster. Roasting the espresso at the moment. And just finished a load here. Mom, how are you? Here's our espresso. The 99, you can see what it looks like there. So this particular one has a blend of Brazilian semi-washed and a Honduran natural. But since the semi-washed, there's a little bit of a nicer character to it, so I reduced the amount of the natural that's in it. So reduced it by a good 15%. Peter's with us. What's going on, Peter? Hobie-Wan Kenobi's finally came out. How you doing, Hobie? So if you're not too familiar, Gießen is a company, my understanding is that Gießen is a company that is from the Netherlands, and they are a bunch of ex-Probac people, so that the machine itself is very reminiscent of the old school Poots from the old days, when everything was cast iron, the drum was cast iron, everything is cast iron, so it's pretty heavy duty. It's a fairly nice roaster. It's a little bit quirky, like every once in a while the gas will cut off and the whole flame will shut down, and a few seconds later it starts. So it doesn't necessarily affect the temperature curve, but it just happens every once in a while, and I've lived with it. So now the current batch that's in here has been running now for 7.5 minutes. So from this particular coffee, I was using 11 pounds of coffee per batch. The house coffee, the house ratio, which is in here now, is actually, we're going to up it to 15 pounds. And the reason I did 11 and then now we're going to 15 is that I wanted to do the first few batches, the first several batches, at a lower quantity in order to help build up the heat of the roaster. And then now that we've gone through several cycles, the metal should be well saturated with heat for better conductivity, more efficient conductivity, so I can push it to a little bit larger batch. Which, if you're familiar with metric to imperial conversions, 15 pounds is pretty much at the outer limits of the capacity of this particular roaster. I've been doing testing with it over the last several months, trying to see how far we can push it. I did one batch of 18. That took a little bit longer than I would like. Good morning, Naomi. We're roasting right now. This is the espresso that's in here now, and it's coming out in a moment. So every day is a little bit different as far as roasting goes, right? So here, I'll show you so here's the controller. The air temperature, it says 480 Fahrenheit. The bean probe, 384. The bean probe is right here. It's this probe here, and it should be in the bed of the coffee so that it gets the more accurate reading. So some days when we're roasting, the bean probe will run it to 430. Today we've been running to about 413. So every day is a little bit different. So it's not, while we have kind of like, you can hear the first crack. I think you can hear the first crack, right? Maku, how are you? So every day is a little bit different in how the coffee will roast. Put this back on the stand. So it's always dynamic. You're always using your senses to get the best results. So we're well into first crack at the moment. 404 degrees. Tightened up a little bit more, the texture of the coffee. I'm going to turn the stirrers on. We will open the vent so that it starts to extract air on 411, well into the first crack. I'm going to take this right to the very beginning of second crack. That's how we're getting this, that's where we get this color development that we had here in the previous roast, right? So we're trying to, now we're making sure that we're not just roasting in a positive, but also we want to match that. A little bit late. But if we look here, right? So let's look here. We're going to grab a little bit of our coffee sample from the previous one, and we're going to drop it in there, and you can't really tell where it went, right? Because it all is very even. So this is part of the goal when you're learning how to roast is to develop your skills or develop your style so that you can replicate your roast profiles over and over again. I'm also looking to see any kind of like low density bean that may be off colored, right? Like that. You just get rid of that. Now. The roast time was 11 minutes, 8 seconds, so a little bit long, so we're going to stop, clear it out. And what I'm also going to do is we're running now here 5.5 column inches of water. Since we're going to a larger batch, I'm going to increase it. So that's going to give more flame. Right, there's the flame. And now we're going to bring it up to 400. We're going to start again at 430. So Naaman says, how do you want the bean probe to be? It's really about, okay, 4:3. So let's begin now. So open it up, drop the coffee in, and that coffee is falling down in there. And then we start our timer, and then we note the time. So 10:08. Is our timer, and 4:30. Okay, so then we've got over here another bucket that's filled with green coffee, and we're going to take that, and we want to preload that into the hopper. One of the things I also want to do is I want to get that coffee ready. So the big container that I'm using for holding the coffee is not enough, right? So it's too small. So what I have to do is I have to get it and transfer some of it out of it into another container so that it'll hold this next batch that's in here. us our setup. We're ready to go now. Let's see, what did I miss here? So how do you want the bean probe? So the bean probe, really, it all depends on the coffee and depends on the day, depends on how the coffee is roasting. So for this particular coffee today, I've been finding that our finished temperature is right around 413 degrees Fahrenheit. Some days, like I said, it's a little bit hotter. Some days, it's never really that much hotter, like maybe 420 at the most, 430 on very odd days. I've had it roast. I've had the second crack starting sometimes at 403, but usually right around that area, right? So it all depends, also, of course, on how your style of roasting too. Chicken on biscuits, that's what's going on. Roasting and toasting. I want a cup. I know, man. It's always nice to have fresh coffee. And if you're roasting coffee, it's a great time to drink your coffee right out of the roaster. Don't wait till tomorrow. Drink it now. Do like Peter does and roast the coffee and drink it right away. Velva, what's going on, Velva? Coffee, yes, and I don't understand Cyrillic, so my apologies. George Brightman is with us. I'm on Amtrak, and the feed keeps buffering. Well, that's because you're jumping from tower to tower at a very rapid rate. So I'll check it a bit later. While I'm in New York, the plan is to visit a partner's coffee. Oh, nice, which used to be Toby's estate. Excellent. Deb is with us. What's going on, Deb? How are you, man? Are you roasting this morning, or I guess it's too early for roasting? Maybe it's not too early for roasting. It's only what? 4 o'clock. Oh yeah, it's pretty early. I'm roasting right now. This that's coming out is our espresso. What's in here now is the house coffee. So Brazilian semi-washed with natural on this one from Honduras. This one is Brazilian semi-washed with some El Salvadorian washed. So a little bit of a playing around with that one. So actually, this is actually the last batch. I'm pretty much have all roasted all the coffee that I needed to roast today. So we're at the right time. Oh, no, it says yes, Adrian Landman. Where does the chaff go? The chaff goes, actually, on this particular roaster, the chaff is contained, or mostly contained inside the roaster. And through this door, you'll pop it out, and then you can see, actually, we can do that. Grab the key here. So you can see that if I put this key, is that the right key? That's not the right key. This is the right key. If I take this and put it in here, yeah, there's all the chaff. It's all in here. Oh, that was a mistake. Son of a gun. I forgot about that. As you can see, it killed the flame. This is the problem with modern roasters, right? There's a sensor. The sensor notices if the door is open. If the door is open, then vacuum pressure is compromised, or the airflow is compromised, so it decides to turn off the flame. Now it has to turn the flame back on, and that's going to take a while, so we're going to have there we go, flame start and turn back on again. Now will it light? Sometimes this roaster doesn't want to light. All right, good. Whew. I'm used to older roasters with less electronics. Like this thing has a lot of electronics, right? All of this electronics, safety features and all this. I'm used to more rustic roasters. Now, granted, I'm not that used to rustic in the form of this baby. This Royal number 5 is a little bit too rustic for me. Meaning that I'm actually kind of scared to use it. Only because it goes, like here, for example, everything in here is encased in something, right? The rotation of the drum, everything is encased. Everything is kind of contained. Even on my other roaster, which is fairly old, like late 70s, it's fairly contained. This, a 1920s era roaster, is not contained. Everything is kind of exposed. You open this, and man, the rotation of the barrel is like so fast. I'm just like, oh my gosh. it makes me nervous to like put a try on there. Like, what if it sucks my hand in? Then I could be hosed. Dev says, can we buy online? Yes, absolutely, man. It's at sprocoffee.com. I keep doing that because in the videos I say Spro Coffee and I put the URL there. But sprocoffee.com is our website. Name was asking, is the setting for Agent 99 and House different? Yeah, just a little bit different. Like the oops, let me turn this on. The 99, we go really like, just so if you can imagine, let's say this is the line. This is first crack. Let's say this line here is first crack. This line here is second crack, right? So we're coming up, right? We're coming up. Oh, no, let's do it this way. Let's use this here, the line for first crack, and this is the line for second crack. So the idea is that as we're roasting the coffee, we're coming through first crack. It's heating, and crack, 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 crack. That crack subsides. It's continuing to rise, and eventually, what we want to do is we want to just kiss second crack, and drop the coffee out. That's the idea behind the espresso. We want to have a little bit more development, a little bit more sugar, a little more sweetness, a little more caramelization. So I'm going to turn this off. This thing is all like rotating. All right, that's good. Whoops. So that's the big difference between the two, generally speaking. Like every coffee is going to be a little bit different, and we're always tasting the coffee to see like how is it performing at the roast. So like this coffee, I'll be tasting over the next day, the next week or so, to see how I like it. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it the coffee that we want it to be? Hopefully it is. And for the most part, I'm just looking for arid beans. And for the most part, it's fairly easy. Meaning that you get to a point where you understand it enough so that you're not the variations, unless you've lost control somewhere along the way, you're not really, there's not too many surprises, typically. Now we've got a little bit of first crack happening. You can hear it. Now first crack is happening kind of late because we had a little bit of that problem with the flame when we opened the door. So we're at 10:38, first crack. We're at 402 degrees. So now we're going to watch and see. I'm going to turn this stirrer back on. Now we're going to watch and see just how far we want to take it. So nice color. We're well into first crack now. 410. What I'm doing is also looking at the color of the coffee. Dev knows what I'm doing very well. So does Peter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish first crack, and then I'm going to take it just a little bit further. And that should give me the flavor profile, the roast profile that I'm looking for, so that our guests will be happy. Okay, now that first crack is pretty much done. We're going to come out now and go for it. 426, 1150, but that's changed, right? Like here, you can see the coffee here is lighter than that coffee, right? So this is different. It's changed because of the way that we roasted the coffee, and hold on a second, and the quantity. Put that in there. Now we've got. So here is the coffee. Now here's the espresso. So there is a bit of a different color there. It's close, but there is a difference. And we didn't really go as far as we wanted, as I would normally have gone, right? Yeah, so just a slight color difference. Naomi says, so you start to hear second crack, then don't please. Ideally, we're taking it right to the edge, so it should start to crack. Some of it can crack as it's coming out. I try not to go. I try not to really get into for second crack inside the drum, but sometimes it goes a little bit longer. Okay, so now we're going to 406. I'm going to take this stick out. Take our. We're going to heat up the drum, which should heat fairly well. We've got our coffee in here, another 15 pounds, and we're going to heat it up to 430 again. And as you can see, like I told you, the flame sometimes goes out, so we got to wait for the flame to re-kick itself into action. There it is, it's starting again. Come on, baby. I don't know if this is normal for Gießen, but this is normal for this roaster, which is very strange. And here's the problem. If you buy a commercial roaster, you know, if you're not buying it new directly from the company, they just don't really care. But I guess they don't really think that, oh, you know, like, they figure you'll buy a roaster no matter what. Okay, so now it's relit. So now we should see the temperature, 430. Okay, good, 435. We're gonna open it up. Coffee is falling in. I have to reset this. And it's 10:22. I don't know how long that other roast went, but that's all right. Now this is our espresso, so we gotta get this out of the way. Get our next bucket ready. So that when this cools down, we want this to cool down in about 4 minutes. And it's pretty, I mean, it's cold. It's cool enough for me to hold, so that's good. So I'm gonna let it cool down a little more before I put it into the bucket. So you start to hear, it's not like, it's kind of one of these things, for me it's one of these things where like, I'm gauging it. Like typically, if there's a clean end of first crack, in this last batch there wasn't a very clean end of first crack, if the first crack ends cleanly, then you have about 45 seconds, maybe 60 seconds before second crack begins. And so I kind of try to ride it, try to surf it right up to the edge of that. That's kind of how I tend to do it. Nobody says, what do you mean if it's good? Isn't the same beans in the same roast? If it's good, I don't remember exactly what I said, but basically you're just trying to match, when you're doing like larger production roasts, right? What you don't want is to have a lot of variation between roast batches, so that, because you don't want people to have different flavor experiences, right? I think that's what I meant. I don't know. I don't remember what I said, but let me know. I will clarify. You know, he says house coffee doesn't even go to second crack, so you go by the color. Go by color. So here's the thing. Well, when I first really started to roast, and I got my first roaster, I called up one of my friends who's basically a roast machine guru, a guy by the name of Marty Curtis. Dave, you might have met this guy. Marty is the guy that did the installation work at Honolulu Roasting at the old Hard Rock Cafe location. And Marty's been an old friend, and he came out. He was in New York City when I got my roaster, and he was like, when I called him, I said, "Hey man, you have time?" He said, "Yeah, I'll come down." So he came down, and he helped me set up the roaster. And mine is if you remember, mine is a Petroncini 3 kilo, a really old 1970s era 3 kilo machine. Very, very simple, very rustic. And here also, we're totally cool now. So I'm going to open this up and let it fall into And he was like, I said to him, "Hey man, what about these?" Because everybody, you know, back in this is actually like 2008, and everyone by then, all my friends and everybody had beam probes, they had digital readouts, and I was like, man, I need that. And he's like, no, man, you need to like work with this roaster. And this roaster, all it had was an analog gauge to to measure the exhaust temperature. And he was like, you need to learn how to use that and roast with that. And I'm like, it's just exhaust temperature, right? He's like, there's no bean probe, there's nothing else. So I roasted, so he was like, do that for a year and then we'll come back and install that. So a year came by and I was just roasting and roasting and roasting. 8 years goes by. It's like 2016. And I was finally one day at the SCA show, and this one company from Australia, a company called Coffee Snobs, they're more like geared towards enthusiasts down there. They had a booth, and they were selling at the Beamer booth. They were like, because Scott Connery from Scarborough Coffee came up and was like, dude, these guys are selling probes for like $50. So like $50, crazy. So I went over, I bought a couple probes, and then I had to go to the machine shop and have it installed, or have the front. I took the front plate off the machine, drilled it, tapped it, and but then in that time, when you roast only with an analog gauge in Celsius, and then every 30 seconds or a minute, you have to plot out your temperature graph and do everything by hand, you really start to learn about using your senses to help gauge the progress of your coffee. So for me, it's a very sensorial experience. So everything, so it's not just temperature, it's visual, it's aromatic, it's audible, everything comes together to understand what's happening. So I can roast coffee on pretty much any machine, I think, without too much preamble, because I learned roasting in the way that I did. If I learned it through digital functionality and like having to watch a graph and temperatures, I would be a different type of roaster, right? That's really the big difference, I think. So do I go by color? Yes. Do I go by everything? So it's everything together, right? Everything, everywhere, all at once, right? Naomi says the house coffee also tastes fantastic from my old luck. I'll say awesome. Awesome, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, they're not too deviant from each other. One has a little bit different level of complexity because it's meant for espresso, and I like to have a little bit of fruit in an espresso. That's the big difference between the two. Kent says second crack used to be Tim Wonderbo's filter roast. Ah, I believe it. I mean, Tim's been around for a long time, man. So as you can see, we are now 6 minutes in. We're starting to get the change of color into tan, into more of a hay aroma, which is actually my favorite part of the roast. And now I have dropped a whole bunch of unroasted beans. So anytime I get digging out errant beans in there. Like right here, there's this. But yeah, so anytime I'm pulling the dryer and other beans fall out that are not quite roasted, or that are, they were not going to contribute to the finished product, we want to get rid of them. Paige, good morning to you. Naomi says, I'm bombarding with all these questions because this is fascinating to me. And that's why this is called the Coffee Q&A. Ask all the questions you want. Always welcome. Always welcome. I need to order some Ono Spro beans. Please do. Let us know when you're ready. So we're a little bit now past the yellowing phase. We're getting more into that. Now we're really getting to the dryness and to. So what happens is that the coffee is green, right? The coffee is green. And it's full of moisture, maybe upwards of 10.5% moisture content. What we're doing now is driving out most of that water, that moisture, out of the bean, like with the application of heat. And that heat being transferred to the bean is happening through both conduction and convection. The convection part, because there's hot air being blown through the barrel of the roaster, the drum of the roaster, there's some convective energy that is heating the bean. However, because the drum is rotating with these paddles that are kind of throwing the coffee around. As you can see here, it's throwing the coffee around. Then, as the drum is being heated in here, let me just grab the camera again. As the drum, so as you can see here, the coffee is turning, right? The coffee is turning, and it's being heated here, or it was. There we go again. So you can you can sort of see the drum. There's a lot of reflection, but you can sort of see the drum. So it's heating the drum here. The coffee's getting rotated, and the contact time, those few moments when the coffee is touching the barrel, that's when conductive energy is heating the bean. So coffee at this point is endothermic. So it's absorbing heat, drying out. We're driving the moisture out. And now that we're getting here, you can see that it's starting to change color. Now the sugars in the coffee are starting to caramelize through the Maillard reaction. And now, at 395 degrees Fahrenheit, we're starting to get a little bit of cracking. We're now 9 minutes 50 seconds into it, which is good. We want to first crack somewhere in this area. So as you can see, we're in a fairly light roast. This is Tim Weatherbill roast. So 402. So we are well in the first crack now. Now the last one, it didn't really slow down, the cracking slowed down. Oh, there we go, now it starts. Okay, here we go. So it doesn't really, like this particular coffee doesn't really stop cracking. I don't know why. But as you can see here, here's our coffee. A little bit lighter, or well, pretty the same. Well, that's not pretty. Where are you going? So we'll take this. Ah, good. Naomi says, "Get it soon, Paige." I don't think I have not. I have determined where we need to go with the price, but I have not changed the price just yet. What is this crazy looking bean? Okay, look at this one. So this is just a hollow bean, a little bit of a defect. But we'll get rid of that. So that's pretty much it. So there it is. Our house coffee's roasted up. We got the roaster is the flame is off. Make sure that our valve is closed. And now it's in the cool down phase. So this machine will actually close down and cool down on its own without me having to do anything else, and then it'll shut down all the same. Nobody's asking which beans give defective flavors. The blackish ones, yeah. To a certain extent, yes, absolutely. So when you're buying coffee can there is a defect called full black, where the coffee bean is totally black in its green state. There are partial blacks, which are partial black, and these coffees are like a full black is considered a primary defect, which if you were actually categorizing coffee for specialty coffee designation, a full black would disqualify it from specialty designation. Now, what does that really mean? I don't really know what that means. Typically, you've got, well, it depends on who you're working with, but typically I find that the farmers that I work with, the sources that I buy from, they're not going to have that issue because their sorting is good enough to get all. There is any of that, they're getting it out. And and it's not just a matter of sorting. It's also a matter of cultivation, farm management, how they when and how they harvest, how they process it, how long between the time they harvest the coffee off the tree to the product. Right, everything's going to have an impact. Like for example, if you have a coffee that is grown by, let's say, a campesino farmer in a mountain, and he's selling to the coyotes, he sells the cherry to the coyote, and the coyote will go to the mountain with a big truck. He'll buy the cherry in a sack, whatever they do, put the cherries in the back of the truck, and then go back the mountain, take it down the mountain to the town where they have a processing center. Well, they'll process it. Now, in normal, and especially production, we want that to happen fairly rapidly, right? If it's picked today, like right now, let's say we're picking right now. If we have farmers, hands in the field pulling the cherries, if we have access to a beneficio, to a mill on site, at the moment that stuff comes in, we're going to start processing it. Or some of our farmers will work with beneficios that they don't own and control, so they will go, which may be another part of the district. At the end of the day, like let's say 6 o'clock, truck from the mill will come, pick up the cherries, take it to the mill, and start processing it as soon as they get there. In the case of a coyote or other systems, they may not necessarily get to it with that sense of urgency. So the coffee may be sitting there fermenting, getting, whatever may happen to it while it's sitting there. So that's part of the whole chain of custody that coffee has to go through. And if you want quality, you have to find people that are controlling that or have a better understanding of how each step affects the process, right? But defective flavors can come from a variety of things. Like, there could be CBB damage. So I'll remember we'll do a show where we look at some of the defects in coffee. I have some commercial samples that are very, very defect ridden, and those can all contribute to the different flavors issues that you'll have in different coffees. But we're finally getting some nice weather here. Like I can sit outside in a relatively light jacket. It's supposed to get rain tomorrow. It's supposed to get rain. So now it's just a matter of waiting for the coffee to cool, roast to cool down, and then pretty much we're done roasting. Then go back to the space and package it all up and get it all ready for distribution and shipping. The roaster's on Matt's property. This is Matt's workshop. I haven't set up my place yet, but I was just planning that yesterday, like looking at where we're going to put the roaster again, how we're going to rearrange everything. So the new space has undergone a major change from where I was a year ago as far as the plan for it. But yeah, let's see what's going on with this Shaper Origin. I'll let you see what that's about. It's kind of cool. How's it coming?
It is. Cracks in here.
Are you cutting something?
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure there's no screws off.
Oh yeah.
That'd be awesome.
So if you guys are not familiar, this is called the Shaper Origin, and it's a router motor mounted in this control system that is basically a CNC machine, a computer numerical coded machine. It has a camera here, lighting, so that you lay down a grid, or you can use.
I think from that, I think I'm saying you can't plug this directly into it, right? I think I recall him saying that. Because it's got its own,
that's a good point. I don't remember.
It's got its own brain or something, I remember.
Well, but I think the Festool should provide constant power.
But it's because there's something because there's a separate power source.
Okay. Yeah, I don't recall. So we got the dust extraction from the Festool.
So let's. This is to a circle.
So this is using the dominoes here as a reference so that the machine will know where it is in relation to the work. And it will tell you how to operate. What are you trying to do?
I'm just gonna try to cut a circle.
Yes, Naomi, we're going to put the other roaster in this other shop. Paige says, I was outside a bit ago in flip-flops and a t-shirt. Oh, no. It's supposed to be 70. It's supposed to be 70 down south. Oh, my gosh. So you got to scan, right?
I think so.
New scan on the left. Start scan.
No.
Are you sure you scanned enough?
Yeah, it was done.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm just wondering, why are some of the dominoes black and blue?
No idea.
Maybe it's just to move it around just so you get like, remember he was moving it around at the demo to get all of it?
I mean, you can see it all. That's like the whole, you know. Oh, am I supposed to hit these? Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
But now where did my circle go?
I think you're supposed to design the circle?
I already did.
Import. Import? No? Oh, you have to tell the diameter. Oh, I see.
No, the thing is I can't. Why is it not showing me? Oh, maybe.
Well, maybe you have to. So it's already showed. It shows the cut line. What if you put cut? There you go. And then cut. Hit the button.
You know what though? Here, we didn't tell how thick this is.
Yeah, it is. 125.25.
But we didn't say.
Depth negative 0.5 inches. Half an inch. So I think it's ready, right? I think you just have to press this button. Oh, and that starts. Oh, the spindle's off. Oh. We gotta go. Yeah, we gotta go like that.
Do I have to hold this down?
Yeah, you gotta hold it down. You gotta hold it down. You're going the wrong way. It wants you to go to the left. Yeah, see, it shows you the direction. Oh, you know what? It's not doing anything. I mean, it's not cutting. I think you have to set the depth
Yeah, that's what I was
in
trying
relation
to
to the, I guess, to the plate and the base. I think that's what it is. Because it looks, I mean, it's doing its thing, like moving around, but it's not actually cutting because it's not going, it's lowering itself deep enough. Fascinating. Once that's all working, the capabilities of the shaper is pretty amazing. Like you can cut all kinds of stuff out of it. I don't know because I don't have that kind of imagination. Paige says, is it basically a mini CNC for wood? Absolutely, absolutely. And I think you can do, can it do things other than wood, Matt? Other materials?
Yeah, whatever a router will do.
Yeah, so pretty much what a router will do, it'll cut. So if you want to do acrylics, I guess you could do like maybe aluminum and some metals if you have enough like power on it, or enough of the right bit. But it's just trying to figure out how to work it. All right, so let's see how our coffee is doing. So the coffee should be pretty much roasted. A nice color there. All right, there we go. So there it is. All right, so I guess that's good. We did some roasting here. Oh, sounds like it's cutting. Let's see how quick this. Is it working? Oh, it's working.
Oh, I see it pulls up if you mess up.
Yeah, it'll pull out of the way. So if you notice that circle thing, it's showing you how to move in the direction you want to move. And the cool thing is that the spindle itself is on its own like axis. So as you're moving the base, if you go out of the path that it's telling you to go, it will immediately pull the bit out so it won't damage the piece. So pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, so that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're back again tomorrow with another coffee Q&A. So join us again, 10 a.m. Eastern. And until then, have a great one. See you next time.